For years, virulent anti-Semitism has been on the rise on college campuses. And sadly, since October 7th, the October 7th Hamas terrorist attack, campus anti-Semitism has skyrocketed on your campuses and all across the country. It is shocking, it is pervasive, it is threatening, and it is stunningly visible. The fear Jewish students are facing is real and it's justified. Jewish students are trying to get an education while entrance to their classes are blocked by protests outside and inside classroom buildings. They sit in classes disrupted by protesters with bullhorns accusing Israel of genocide, with students chanting, "Long live the Intifada." And by the way, as we all know, the intifadas in Israel included years of terrorist bus bombings and restaurant bombings that resulted in countless deaths of Jewish and Arab civilians. Jewish students in college dining rooms are confronted with banners that say, "From the river to the sea," a phrase that calls for the end to the Jewish state and the killing of Jews. Don't take my word for it. You can listen to the leader of Hamas, who has been quite vocal about what that phrase means. A Jewish student at Harvard was asked by the professor to leave his class because the other students weren't comfortable having their discussion in front of that Jewish Israeli student. Jewish students have been pushed, spat upon, punched, and told not to leave their dorms for their own safety during protests. A Jewish student in my home state was told to rewrite a paper he wrote that supported an Israeli view of the conflict, or he risked failing the course. And Jewish students had their class interrupted when a professor told the students that they were going to take a break so that all the students could go with him to attend the anti-Israel protest on campus. This intimidation, humiliation, and exclusion of Jewish students is simply unacceptable. It would not be tolerated against any other minority group, and we need university presidents to do more to protect Jewish students. President Gray, you and I have talked about anti-Semitism. You have told me your goal is to eradicate anti-Semitism at Harvard. That is a lofty goal, but will you commit to doing everything necessary to keep Jewish students and faculty safe and be able to participate in the full range of Harvard's learning experiences?
The short answer is yes.
Thank you. And will you enforce all the codes of conduct against students and faculty who violate those codes? And will you communicate those codes and your intention to hold students and faculty accountable?
Absolutely.
Will you endeavor to recenter the conversation about the Middle East back to a place of fact-based exchange and evaluate your course offerings and your faculty to ensure that you have intellectual diversity and multiple perspectives about Israel and Zionism, including professors who support the right of Israel to exist and support the right of Jewish people to self-determination in the Middle East Studies Department?
Absolutely committed.
Thank you. And will you commit to work with Jewish and Israeli scholars to make sure Harvard has full range of lectures and scholarship as described in Dr. Nadell's testimony?
Education is the path forward here.
So I understand that you have condemned the phrase "from the river to the sea," but I also know that the Harvard School of Public Health has a course called The Settler Colonial Determinants of Health that introduces students to the concept of settler colonialism and its health equity implication. It uses case studies in the United States and Palestine and talks about poor health outcomes for indigenous and other non-settler communities. President Gray, are you aware that Jews were indeed indigenous to the land of Israel and have lived there for 2,000 years?
I do know about the long history in Israel.
So what is Harvard doing to educate members of the community about these phrases and other false accusations that Israel is a racist, settler, colonialist, apartheid state, given that Harvard is actually teaching courses with the underlying premise that Israel is a settler colonial state?
We have faculty, we have outside speakers who come and over the last couple of months in particular have been providing more insight into the nature of the conflict and the ways forward. And obviously we have more work to do, and that's part of how we're going to eradicate anti-Semitism on our campus.
Sadly, my time is expiring, but I'd like to follow up on that and other courses at Harvard, and I'd also like to follow up with Ms. McGill about how her students felt, her Jewish students felt, after the Palestinian writers meeting, and whether they in fact felt threatened and intimidated.
Thank you, Ms. Manning.
Thank you.